To volunteer or not volunteer? That is the question, at least the question we're going to be covering in this video. I get a lot of requests from clients asking about how much to volunteer at church, how much to step up at work and volunteer for activity. We're only going to be talking about the power of volunteering for workplace activity because I am a Christian executive coach. I do think it's very important to volunteer for church activity, serving the poor, leading a family discussion group, running a clothing drive. Those types of things are critically important and part of our mission as followers of Christ. I want to talk about the importance of volunteering at work when most of the world says you're an idiot if you volunteer. I have had literally the exact opposite experience, and I want to share that with you now. Keep watching, and I'll share exactly why it's powerful to definitely volunteer, but knowing the right time to do it. Hi, my name is Shawn Sommerkamp, and this is Motivationeer Christian Coaching. I post 2 videos a week, so please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can be reminded when I do. Please also consider becoming a member at Motivationeer.com. Your membership really supports this channel. Thank you. The key to volunteering is an aspect that I cover when I come to church groups and do workshops. Since COVID, I've been doing them all virtually, where I talk about the 3 legs of accelerated career growth stool: performance, image, and exposure. This volunteering aspect is about exposure. We want to get the right kind of exposure to help accelerate our career. Performance and performing better, performing harder, performing longer is not the way to get ahead at work. We want to get exposure, and one great way of doing it is by volunteering. We have a great example of the right way to do it in 1 Samuel 17, when David volunteered to fight Goliath. The reason why this is such a great example is because he volunteered in a place that he could add value. What we don't want to do is volunteer to do things at work that almost anybody else could do. That's not going to add any value. It's certainly not going to help accelerate our career. And again, let me just briefly say, the idea is not to become famous, to make lots of money, to get power and position. That's not why I talk about exposure and advancing our career acceleration. It's about increasing up the chain of command our influence so that we can increase our influence on the rest of the organization for Christ. So with that in mind, volunteer where you can add value. I've got a couple of very unique situations in my career that really helped propel how fast my career grew. One of them was, believe it or not, in boot camp. Okay, when it comes to boot camp, the first week is horrible. It's miserable. I almost said hell week, but it's not hell, but it is miserable. They choose among the 84 recruits, one person out of the group to kind of be the recruit leader. And that recruit reports to the chief or the 2 chiefs that basically lead you through boot camp. Well, our recruit chief petty officer, as they're called, after the 5th or 6th day, in a sense, jumped the fence, went AWOL, never to be seen of again. They were just not working out. It terrified them and they quit. So our chief sat us all down and said, because your recruit chief petty officer jumped the fence, I'm going to make you guys start boot camp back on day 1, which means the misery was going to start all over again. So he said, if someone doesn't step up right now to lead this company, we're starting it all over. And I immediately jumped up, raised my hand, ran up to the front and said, I'll do it. I was only 17 at the time, which is ridiculous. And I made every possible stupid mistake you could make. I've told this story at my workshop. If you ever want to hear the rest of the story, just invite me to do a workshop at your church. I do it for free and virtually now. It's really awesome. But I volunteered. It went horribly bad in a sense because I didn't do a good job of leading. I made every mistake. But when it was all over, I did get a pat on the back from the chief. He told me I was very brave, and I happened to be the youngest recruit chief petty officer in the United States Navy training history, at least at the Orlando Navy Training Center. And when I started going on my interviews in the future after I got out of the Navy, I referenced that quite a bit. Another great volunteer situation was when I worked at Manpower Professional. I was a recruiter. That's how I got started. I was doing it while going to school full time. I was recruiting. So after the Navy, went to college and then started a job as a recruiter at Manpower at a little office in Rocky Hill, Connecticut, which I've mentioned a few times on this channel before. Well, there was a chance for our little office to help win a large national contract by pitching our services to a company headquartered in Enfield, Connecticut, ASEA Brown Boveri, also known as ABB. So the global VP of International Business, Richard Gallagher, flew in from our headquarters, Milwaukee, into our little office and went into the manager's room and was talking with the branch manager about this big pitch they were going to do. The VP comes out of my boss's office, closes the door behind him without my boss. And he says, I have an announcement to make. Your boss has got cold feet. He's decided he doesn't want to go with me to the presentation. Would any of you like to go with me and pitch Manpower Services to this company? And man, I just leapt at the chance. I mean, I ran up there like ready to push people away because I wanted to be the one. As it turns out, and this is part of, I think, God's plan to use us when we volunteer at the right time, he used to fly airplanes that hunted submarines. They were called P-3s. I, as I've said, was in the submarine service. So after the pitch, we started talking about this very unique connection we had. He canceled his flight back to the headquarters, and we spent basically all night talking about submarine warfare. As he dropped me back off at my car back at the Rocky Hill office, he said to me, I want you to move to Milwaukee and work directly for me as a national account manager. So when we volunteer, opportunities open up for us, but we want to volunteer for the right types of activities. I do not recommend volunteering to run some social clubs at work, like what we used to do at college. I don't think that's going to do our image very good. It's not going to get us the exposure we want. We'll be seen more as nice and organized and fun and good party planners, where when you volunteer to take on the hardest account that nobody else can take on, which is what I did at GE, I took on the Maimonides Medical Center account. Even though I was a manager, I said, listen, this is going so bad, I'll step back to be a temporary project manager, player manager kind of thing, to help run this business for this one large installation. It was a $10 million install. In fact, I think it was our largest clinical systems install ever. I volunteered for that very tough job. So when we do step up to fill in the gap and volunteer, we want to do it by adding value where no one else is going to do it. That gets us the exposure, and it will give us the exposure that we are a risk taker, which companies do want to see. They want to see that we're willing to put it all on the line, to risk even our reputation, our image, to do something great for the company. That's a big thing. And it shows that we're willing to look stupid in a sense. That's kind of the way I say it. When people tell you not to volunteer, I disagree. We want to volunteer. Now, again, not church volunteer, serving the poor and needy. Definitely always do that. That we want that to be a very deep, enriching part of our life. But when it comes to our career, volunteer for things that people are unable or unwilling to do. That's where we add value. I did a video on my channel. If you're not adding value, you're creating waste. I go into very deep detail about the importance of adding value or creating waste, and this fits nicely into volunteering. Go ahead, be courageous. Volunteer for that big opportunity that no one else is willing to try or to risk, and then let me know how it went in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. Tell me in the comments below about your career situation, and I'll make a video for you with a shout out. You can also become a member at Motivationeer.com. Your career is not just a way to make a living, it's a way to transform the world.